First of all, I want to thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing. Nothing here is possible without all of your contributions. As we are starting to make this shift into world politics, there's certain things that need to be addressed first so that we can start to shift the way that we think and the narratives that we paint, or the narratives, better yet, that we allow people to paint about us. One of the narratives that I constantly see getting pushed around on the internet is this idea that the Union fought the Civil War to free slaves. And, sometimes, people try to revise or soften the reality of Americans' racism and slavery to minimize their, I wouldn't even say guilt for it, because it's not them. They're taking on the sins of the American government on their own shoulders. But they are benefiting from, living in a racist utopia. But they'll try to soften it and soften how impactful we are to this country and the things that we did, and kind of make it seem like they gave it to us, right? Like, we gave you freedom, or we fought for freedom. Abraham freed you. Pretty interesting how they use Abraham to free us, but that's a whole nother topic that we'll dive into once I start covering who are the real African Americans and who are the real black people in America. But moving on, I'm just taking this second to just set the record straight with full context, no propaganda. First of all, it's the fact that the Union did not initially go to war to free enslaved people. What Lincoln and the Union actually said at the start was their primary goal is to preserve the Union, never not ending slavery. He said it in 1862, if I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. See, slavery still existed in border states like Maryland, Kentucky, and Missouri, and those stayed in the Union. Lincoln allowed them to continue slavery there to avoid losing them. If we just go down to his speech, if we just go down to his speech, as I'll pull it up here. My paramount objective in this struggle is to save the Union. It's not either to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. I have here stated my purpose according to my view of official duty, and I intend no modification of my expressed personal wish that all men everywhere could be free. As we go back, and it's not to take anything away, it's saying that don't take anything away from what happened to us and what changed the war. See, sometimes this gets lost in translation, as a lot of black excellence does. Enslaved people freed themselves. Thousands of enslaved black people fled plantations and forced the issue by escaping to Union lines. This created pressure and opportunity for the Union to use emancipation strategically, which was then going to weaken the Confederacy and adding black troops to the Union Army. The Emancipation Proclamation, which came in 1863, did not free all slaves, only those in rebel states. It was as much a military strategy as a moral statement, but it shifted the war's moral tone and made it politically impossible to deny that slavery was central. All right. Understand that black Americans themselves forced the conversation by seizing freedom. It wasn't given, it was seized. Fighting in the war, it wasn't given, it was fought for. Over 180,000 black Union soldiers demanded real liberation. We just need to get off of this whole situation of, oh, why didn't you free yourselves? Why didn't you fight for freedom? What do you mean? 180,000. That's just right there on number for it, while still dealing with the racism. So let's just dispel this myth. Overall, the Union didn't invade the South to free black people. It went to war to hold the country together. Slavery only became a war target once it became politically and military necessary. Claiming the Union fought for black freedom erases the agency of black people who freed themselves and turns emancipation into this white savior myth. And that's where we end up at. You gotta remember, Lincoln drafted the Emancipation Proclamation before this letter, and then he delayed it before issuing it until after military victory. You understand? This wasn't abolitionist bravado. It was a public relations move framing emancipation as purely in service of preserving the Union, and you fell for the propaganda. Black Union soldiers fought for their freedom. Over 178,000 black troops, U.S. colored troops, served in the Union, facing 20 to 35% casualty rates. Sergeant William H. Carney, born enslaved, was the first African American to earn the Medal of Honor for his bravery at Fort Wagner, carrying a U.S. flag under heavy fire. His own words, this old flag never touched the ground. Freedom wasn't handed down. It was seized and defended by black Americans through sacrifice on the battlefield. Listen, some of you guys may not understand why it matters, but let me tell you why it matters. The myth that the Union fought for emancipation oversimplifies the history and erases the courageous agency of black Americans. Evidence shows Lincoln's private intent was Union first. Emancipation was a strategic tool, and black soldiers and abolitionists forced the transformation of the war's purpose. If you want any links, info, you want to read, you want me to quote anything I said today, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. It's right there in the description, all of the links that we have. If you guys want any of the original quotes, images, complete documents, or breakdowns in visual formats, just go ahead and reach out to me. You guys can message me here. You guys can message me in my email. Maybe I'll do a video on it, breaking it down some more. All right, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let's go ahead and dispel all the myths. Right, you got the receipts. Now you just got to use them.